Either I'm late to the game or everyone knew this, but apparently 90% of y'all, 90% of the people that start YouTube channels are going to quit. 90%. Like maybe you decided you're going to start creating content because you have a business and you want to generate leads for that business. You're going to quit. You're a content creator and you have this dream of being monetized and literally just making a living creating content. Yeah, you're going to quit too. Turns out this affects everybody, and let's talk about why. Come here. Good morning. So I've had this conversation countless times. An entrepreneur reaches out, someone that's a coach, consultant, something like that, and they say that they want to start on YouTube. And the main reason why I started YouTube is because they see maybe my content and they think to themselves two things. One, there is a way to generate leads from YouTube. I want to do that. Or, man, Raylen's content sucks and I could be better than him. Either way, that's all good. I'm here to help. So I end up telling them the first kind of bits of what they should do. And just yesterday I had this conversation with somebody. So we're talking through just why I prefer long form over short form, and just the idea that to try to mash everything you have to say in 60 seconds or less is just, I don't really enjoy doing that anymore. And honestly, I did it for a really long time. Didn't really enjoy it. However, on the flip side of that, YouTube, long form, I love it. Obviously, I have time to let my thoughts kind of come out and bring some context to things. It's great. So I recommend every entrepreneur be on YouTube for a multitude of reasons. Google search, SEO, you name it. The fact that the content lasts forever, even if it bombs, it still has an opportunity to do well later on. All that being said, that's usually a recommendation. Let's start on YouTube. Now, as I'm describing to her, the reason not only for YouTube, but ultimately why, like what you should be prepared for, I always give the caveat of, look, 90% of people end up quitting YouTube, and here's why. We set sometimes the wrong expectation. We think, hey, I'm going to start on YouTube and like in 2 videos, I'm going to go viral and have tens of 20,000s of subscribers and have a bunch of watch time. I'm going to get monetized. I'll be making thousands of dollars just for making content, and I'll generate leads for my business. It's kind of a win-win. We expect this to happen in days, weeks, sometimes months, but honestly, for most people, it happens sometimes in years. Like, I think what happens is we look online and you see countless people that go, I went viral on YouTube and it was only my second video ever and it could happen for you. Maybe. I'm not saying it can't, but like the chances are of that happening for you is pretty low. So they go into it, most people go into it with the wrong expectations of what's going to happen. And then after a few videos, when they realize that legitimately no one is watching, 0 people, 10 views, right? And nobody went through the whole video, you start asking yourself, what the hell am I doing? Especially if you think about it, long form just takes longer to make. It takes longer for you to think about what you're going to say. It's more uncomfortable for some people. The editing takes a long time, especially if you don't have an editor. All these things compile, and you ask yourself, what the hell am I even doing this for? And then you quiet quit. You quiet quit YouTube. And quiet quit, I just simply mean like that one meme with Homer Simpson when he like hides into the bush, right? That's what most of you guys do on YouTube. And by the way, that's okay. If it's simply like, I just don't want to do it, there's only one way to find out, which is to start. But I think most people, part of the reason why they quit after just maybe 90 days, YouTube, and 90% of people quit YouTube, is because they just have the wrong intention. So this is the advice that I gave her. Actually, before I do that, oh my God, this morning I was reading and Mila likes to come and hang out with me in my office, and the bookshelf has too many books, and I need to buy another bookshelf. And this is a really good example of why. Literally one of Kayla's books, so she deserves part of the responsibility on this one. This giant thick book like literally fell on Mila's head. Like it was falling, and I saw it happening almost in slow motion. And before I could, like, because I had my coffee in my hand, like, before I could really fully react, I just punched the book thinking that, like, that would completely knock it out of the way, and it didn't. And so, like, a little bit of the book smacked her in the face. So I need to buy a new bookshelf or get rid of books. I don't know. Apparently my bookshelf is a death trap for children. Basically, I told her, plan on sucking. You see, the thing about YouTube, and what most people get wrong, is, again, they think they're going to go viral the first video they ever do. And the truth is, that very rarely happens. And yeah, sure, you could say, well, what about so-and-so that only with 5 videos got 1 million views? The funny thing about those individuals is they tend to have significant, like, filmography backgrounds. Like, it's interesting, right? Like, a lot of the people that I follow that I do think is, like, super interesting were at one point in their lives literally, like, videographers. Like, that's what they did for a living, was edit videos, was to be a videographer, follow people around. Come on. There you go. Follow people around, shoot good angles, good lighting, like they went to school for it, and they just so happen to start a YouTube channel. Well, yeah, obviously, they're gonna be pretty decent. It's like, to give a meathead kind of philosophy to this, or analogy, it's like, for example, when D1 college wrestlers go and fight in UFC. Yeah, they have a little bit of a better chance than the average Joe because they have a really good background in the arts. Same thing goes for YouTube. So, if you don't have those backgrounds, probably plan on sucking. Now, when I told her this, you could tell almost. It was like this, I could see it in her face, this moment of, okay, why am I doing it then? Because we want the fast, I don't think that's the right height for bench. We want the fast, gratifying win. We want to be able to literally just start something and, like magic, we are incredibly great at it. We have tons of subscribers and following and admiration and all that fun stuff with just like 1 or 2 videos. I lost count. That's okay. Unfortunately, as much as I would like it to be otherwise, that's not the case, okay? So going into it, knowing that you're gonna suck, takes a little bit off the pressure. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. That's not what I mean either. There's certain skill sets you have to improve on when you first started on YouTube, for example, right? Obviously, how to work a camera. As you can probably tell from this video, I still don't know how to work a camera, but I'm still trying, right? The second is obviously the editing part, and you could always obviously hire an editor. But again, there's this weird thing that we see in other people's videos where we go, oh, my video has to look like that. I have to have crazy production in order to post on YouTube. And again, that's not necessarily true. And yes, people bring up Sam Sulek a lot, like this bodybuilder guy, as an example as why you don't need crazy editing. And they're right. Again, that's not, he's an outlier, right? Don't just assume that that always is gonna work. And then vice versa. You can look at super high production value content on there, and yes, that it works, but like, does it mean that yours has to be that either? And I think the third part is, how do you come up with ideas consistently, and how do you actually execute on them? Because a lot of times, my favorite quote is actually from Mitch Hedberg. He's like a comedian. He talks about how he has this one joke. I'm gonna butcher it, so sorry, Mitch Hedberg, rest in peace. But he said, you know, sometimes I lay in my hotel room and I'll have an idea for a joke, but I don't feel like getting out of bed, so I'll just convince myself it's not that funny. That's sometimes what we all do, is we'll have a good idea and then we don't write it down. We don't have the discipline to like keep track of those ideas. And then so the ideas kind of eludes us a bit. So of course, there's tons of things we can improve on when it comes to YouTube. So with all those different skill sets that have to stack up, they have to build on each other, and then that's ultimately when typically, right, you get noticed on YouTube, you get views, subscribers, and all that fun stuff. It takes a longer time to get good at everything, or to get good at everything to a point where then eventually you could hire a team. And I think the biggest mistake people make, and part of the reason why people quit a couple months into starting on YouTube, is the comparison part. Don't sit there and act like you haven't done it, right? When you go on YouTube and you're maybe looking at someone that's like a similar channel to you, you're watching their videos, and then you have this moment where you go, why am I making content? Like, I'll never be good as this. And so Maybe I shouldn't even try. We've all thought that. Don't even lie. Don't lie, okay? It's just us here. There are channels out there that make you feel like that. For me, it was Casey Neistat. Like, I literally think Casey Neistat is like the greatest YouTuber ever. And watching his videos literally almost made me quit. So like the second piece of advice that I give constantly to business owners that are looking to start creating on YouTube and how to not actually quit. How do you start as a business owner making content on YouTube without quitting? And just go into it knowing I'm gonna do this for a long time. One other piece of advice is stop comparing yourself to others. Like, not to say not to watch other people's stuff, but if it starts to make you feel some type of way, then it's okay to just not watch other people's stuff and just do your own thing. And yes, I know what you're thinking, okay, but Raylen, how are you gonna know how to improve? How are you gonna know what's happening, what's hype, what's trending on YouTube if you don't watch YouTube? Yeah, you can get that to me is better to avoid all of that altogether and focus on your craft, focus on what you like to create, what you would enjoy, and what's gonna keep you going, and then miss out on some of the trends, than to watch, get demotivated, and then you stop making content altogether. Because again, it happens all the freaking time. Hi, baby. Look at this precious little baby. Oh, you see yourself? Who is that? Who is that? Yeah. I'm gonna start making videos like Chris Williamson. You know that video I was watching, and it was him working out with that other guy, and it's just, I was watching Chris Williamson, and his name is, I forgot his name. Anyway, he's going for like Mr. Olympia, and I was watching their vlog, and Kayla wasn't paying attention. She was like, what the heck are you watching? Because it's just literally them talking, and then they would work out. But like in between the sets, it's just them breathing real hard. They're like, real uncomfortable. I'm like, oh no, just me watching other grown men lift weights and with their shirts off. Nothing to see here. You know, we were doing so good, and you liked working out with Dad, but now I think you're getting a little sleepy, and now we're not having it, huh? We're a little grumpy. You don't want any more games. Of course, the camera comes on, you act like you've been just a little angel this whole time. That's a little too low. That's unfortunate. All right. We're gonna try that. I don't know if this is a good idea. Oh, or a bad one. Go up a little bit more. All right, now for the old. Oh, that was almost death. I almost just died. Oh. I don't know if you've ever seen, or read rather. Let me know if you've ever read Gap in the Gain in the comments, but great book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And in it, they talk about how we all measure things wrong. And YouTube creators in general, again, doesn't matter if you're a YouTube creator who has the goal of being monetized and just creating content and getting paid and getting sponsors maybe, or if you're a business owner looking to maybe create a personal brand and generate leads for your business, you're measuring wrong. So we do this thing, we'll look at someone else's YouTube channel, look at how many views they're getting, and go, man, I'm so far away from where I should be. And there's a really dangerous question, or dangerous word of should. That's not where I should be, right? Look how good, you know, Mike Diavella is, Mr. B, like whatever your idol is on YouTube. We look at them and go, man, I'm so far from where I want to be or where they are. Where if you use YouTube statistics, if you use the stats they give you, I think my favorite one that they use is the ranking, because it'll show you like this video is ranked 2 out of 5 or 1 out of 5 based on your past videos. So you're comparing yourself to your past self. You're comparing yourself to the past, which in the book, The Gap and the Gain, talks about this, right? So there's the wrong way to measure, which is what I mentioned earlier, being in the gap, they call it. Being in the gap is looking super far away at other people comparison or where you think you should be and measuring yourself against that. It's demotivating, it's, depressing. And it's like, again, if you're in that space long enough, you will get to the point where you're like, okay, what am I doing this for? Conversely, if we look at the gain thinking and going, all right, well, this video I just did is ranking 1 or 2, like it's a little bit better than the last video I did. And so it's not always easy, and I fall prey to this, but once I post a video, there's certain stats that I'm looking at, and I'm just looking to improve slightly over the last few videos, like the average of all of my videos. So again, for example, if the focus is like watch time, I'm looking not at what I think watch time should be at or the percentage of viewed should be at. I'm looking at in the past, maybe 90 days or even 6 months, where's this video rank? And then it gives you a really good realistic thing to measure off of than just what everyone else is doing. And I think it's because of this thinking that I've been doing it for as long as I have. And again, it's like what I've been, doing YouTube now for 3-4 years, taking it seriously probably the last 2, maybe the last 2 years or a year. And I've consistently posted. Like there hasn't been this 6-month hiatus, like it's been consistently, I've been posting. And the reason why I'm able to do that and not get demotivated, doesn't matter how many views I get, doesn't matter, is really 2 things. It's being in the gap, or being in the gain rather, focusing on how I improved over the last video. But then the other part of it is the little things, like being super grateful for the little things. And by that, I mean, every once in a while, I'll get a banger of a comment from one of you that says, hey, they don't really appreciate this, super motivating. Or like I had one the other day that like made my life. And it was like, what did he say? He said something like, this reminds me of Sam Sulek. I don't understand why you haven't blown up yet. Like it's these comments that I get every once in a while that like keeps you going. Like just that little small boost that goes, okay, I'm on the right path. And I think what I'm saying more than anything else, when we're creating things on YouTube, specifically, the way you don't quit, the way you don't be that 90% that quit, is to just focus on the journey, not the destination. That might be top 10 cheesiest things I've ever said.